Kentucky. If you don't believe me, look at this. This is the added electrical capacity in the United States by fuel choice. If you look at everything we've done since 1998, it basically has all been natural gas. So everything that we have done, this is coal down here. And what's the yellow? The yellow is renewable. So we're seeing more renewables there. But basically, it's all been natural gas. And those were not economic decisions. Those are permitting decisions because we couldn't, the utility, we were growing economy and growing demand. They could not possibly wait 10 years. You could phone up GE and get a gas turbine installed on your plant in 6 months. So what are you going to do? If I'm the CEO, I know what I'm going to do from natural gas because I want to keep our customers happy. And that's exactly what happened. This is the average retail price of electricity, 2009, 9.8 cents for all of the various grades of electricity we use. And you can see that we don't have the very lowest, but we're down toward the bottom. And that's one of the few categories I'm happy Kentucky is at the bottom. Yes.
Why is Texas so high if they use so much coal?
Well, part of the reason is they have so much industry there, they generate so much, and they have nothing over here but cows. There's not a lot of population here, so if you look at the requirements for their grid to connect people, there's so much space that they have to basically charge more. It's not for the electricity they produce, it's actually to get it to the end user. Which is a good thing, actually, because this is the most fertile area for wind production.
Mm-hmm. And they use a lot of wind.
And they use a lot of wind, and actually a lot of that wind is actually going there because they have the grid already set up.
Huh. It just seems like some places in the Southwest would be similarly remote, but you don't see the same color or high price. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, well, they kind of do things differently. If you look at actually the way the country is broken up into the 10 different regions for interconnection for the national grid, you will see that the country has 9, and Texas is its own. They have their own, and they are connected to everybody else, but by golly, they are completely independent if they want to be. They can actually isolate themselves because they basically have their own grid. Yes?
I'm sorry, going back to the natural gas line one before where you showed the spikes, and you say that's the effect of permitting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the EIA report that I've read, it's been 2 other factors, hasn't it? Hasn't it been the technological revolution in the shale gas drilling, the horizontal drilling, and fracking, as you showed before? So that's just brought more gas on stream in the continental United States, and which has driven the price down, which has made it a more market affordable resource. And so I
most of the Marcellus shale development really began occurring around here, but how do you explain for all this over to here, though? Because at that price...
Well, LNG, the spot market for LNG, we built 9 LNG distillation facilities on the ports, expecting that we were going to import.
Mm-hmm. The natural gas prices here were triple what they are now.
Yeah, they've declined.
They were $12 to $14 per million BTU. That in this era right here, and regardless, we still have that much capacity added, even with that historically astronomical price for natural gas. It could be because they knew the Marcellus shale was going to be exploited and we were going to actually believe those reserve numbers, or it could be that via permitting, you didn't really have a choice. And I think I could make a very sound argument that during this part of our political
so you're talking
environment.
about the Bush administration, EPA, putting stringent permits on what to meet carbon emission targets, or?
I believe that was their impetus. Yes, I do. I think that they did not want, natural gas was going to be the savior, and coal was the evil force that must be eliminated. And I think that was, you could see that in the installed capacity.
Is that permitting information available to the public, like the permitting policy? Or what's the best way to get at that?
I had to dig. I had to actually go into the permits and find out when they were filed and when they were issued. Now, I can't give you an average because I really don't like reading the Federal Register. It was dry as toast getting the data that I got. But I mean, I did actually testify at the public hearing on behalf of Cache Creek, which is their permit was, so I did know that one. I've been following that one. And I don't know how long the appeals process will be, but I'm looking at history, it's always been 3 to 5 years. So the data is available, but it is not in one place.
So that basically just do it on a per installation basis?
You got to go find it. You got to find it. Who? Read the Wall Street Journal. Find out who is putting the new one in, when it was issued, and then go back and find through federal records when it was, or state records actually when it was issued. Yeah. So no, it's not available in any one place. And again, lest we whine, this is what the world electricity prices look like. This is around 10 cents. This is with taxes added in, of course. In the United States, pays around 10 to 12 cents per kilowatt hours for residential electricity prices, average throughout the country, which is, it's toward the bottom, not the very bottom. It's actually, if you look at Denmark, has probably the highest in the world. It's like 33.5 cents. So they pay triple what we do for their electricity. Other places that are really high, which kind of surprising, Turkey. Everything's expensive in Turkey. Italy and Japan, very, very high.
Is the difference in prices again due to taxes like the gasoline prices are?
I think the taxes are less on this. I think that it's.
I mean, do more taxes account for the higher price? Or
not nearly as much as with oil, because oil is a commodity. Okay, so commodity trades at the same price everywhere. Electricity is actually, you've got cost of generation at each individual place, so it depends upon the cost of the infrastructure, the cost of the fuel, the cost of everything. So it's much more localized. So no, the taxes do play a role, and I know that actually this is primarily due to taxes because they want people to consume less. And how do you get people to consume less? You make things more expensive. So you're doing this redistribution of expenditures. So if you have to pay more for your electricity, you're going to consume less. So that's, a lot of these are done here. I don't know why they do it in Italy. I don't have a clue. I'd love to know. Actually, I'd like to take a sabbatical and go find out. Go to Venice to live for a year to find out why they do it this way. I think that would be a good use of my time. The big question is this, and this is showing electricity consumption normalized per capita and GDP, which is one measure of quality of life. You could put infant mortality, you could put lifespan, you could put whatever you want on there, but you're going to get basically a linear relationship. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be basically a linear relationship. Now, we've got a correlation coefficient of 0.704. You could argue that's not really linear. Well, I know I work with a lot of researchers which have drawn straight lines of data with a lot more scatter than that. The point is that there is a relationship between standard of living and energy consumption. Now, the question is, if we, the United States being right here, are going to reduce our energy consumption, here, are we going to go this way, or are we going to go this way? Can we reduce our energy consumption and maintain our standard of living? If we do that, we will be the first society to actually pull that off. This guy, David Brower, never met the guy, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, founder of the Sierra Club, said we may find that while we're drastically cutting our energy consumption, we're actually raising our standard of living. Well, he's entitled to his opinion, but there's absolutely no evidence to support that that's even remotely possible. It's easy for him to say that he's dead. There is. I don't believe that we can do it. I don't.